Is your pod stuck in pending? Not running, not failed, just waiting there? So what's holding it back? It might not be Kubernetes, it might actually be you. So let's take a look at the most common reasons for your pod being stuck in pending and how to avoid them. Pending means that your pod can't be scheduled. Once your pod has been accepted by the Kubernetes API, it's the turn of the scheduler to find a node for it to run on. If no node can't be found, then it will stay in pending. But if a node is found, the kubelet is taking over, it is pulling images, mounting volumes, starting containers, and if any of that fails, your pod will just stay in pending. So you see, there's a lot that could go wrong. It could be a mismatch of node selectors, taints, and tolerations. There could be issues pulling your images, mounting volumes, init containers that are not completing or failing. Or probably the most common one of all, there might be not enough resources available in your cluster for your application to run. Why does this happen? Let's dive deeper. While this might be caused by a cluster that is generally just too small for your resources, there are a few anti-patterns that you can avoid for your pods not to end up in pending state. First of all, there is the greedy dev. The greedy dev is the one that says, hey, I just want to be sure I'm setting so much resource requests and limits for my application because it should be running fine. And while this might work for their application, it will cause problems for all the other applications or for the amount of nodes you need in your cluster. Next, we have the optimistic dev. The optimistic one is the one that simply doesn't set any resource limits or requests at all, because it will be fine. But actually, this makes your cluster very unpredictable, because it might just work fine, but it might also lead to an overflowing node and might make your cluster very unpredictable because you don't know what is going on. Last, there's the control freak, who is probably coming from an old VM environment and trying to force their pod to run on a certain node, even if it doesn't have space. And this does not only violate a lot of core principles of Kubernetes, but also makes node maintenance way harder than it needs to be. So what can you do to avoid this situation? Well, first of all, always make sure to set proper resource requests and limits. Once that is done, use observability to tune your applications over time, and then use autoscalers to keep your pods and your clusters flowing smoothly. So next time, you don't have to ask yourself the question,